So, when you hear the words annual financial report, what comes to mind? Probably pages and pages of dense numbers, accounting jargon, honestly, kind of boring, right? Well, what if I told you that hidden inside those documents is actually a story? And a pretty dramatic one at that, full of conflict, high stakes decisions, and ultimately transformation. Today, we're going to show you exactly how. Okay, let's get right into it. The big question we're asking is simple. Can a financial report really tell a story? To figure that out, we're going to become financial detectives. Our case file? A decade's worth of annual reports from PTRO, a huge player in Indonesia's mining and construction world. We're going to piece together their journey using only the numbers and notes they published to uncover a pretty incredible tale of survival and strategy. So here's the game plan for our story. First, we'll set the scene, get a baseline of where things were. Then, a huge global crisis hits, shaking the company to its core. We'll see how the leadership navigated that storm and what their new playbook looked like on the other side. And finally, we'll talk about what all these numbers can teach us. Let's do this. All right, every story has a beginning, and ours kicks off in 2012. You've got to understand, PTRO is a big deal, a well-established engineering and construction company right in the thick of Indonesia's booming mining industry. The global economy is chugging along nicely, and for them, business is good. And when I say good, I mean really good. Check this out. In 2012 alone, the company pulled in a net income of over 52 million US dollars. This right here, this is our before picture. A super healthy, very profitable company killing it in a great market. But, even in the good times, the reports drop little hints, little breadcrumbs about potential risks down the road. And here's where it gets really interesting. This chart shows a super important detail. Almost 12.5% of all their money came from just one single client, PT Kideko Jaya Agun. Now, this was part of a monster $216 million contract over 5 years. That's fantastic, right? But it also means they were really, really dependent on that one relationship. Remember that detail, because it's a huge plot point for what's about to happen. All right, let's jump forward 2 years to 2014. The story is about to take a massive turn. And the big bad guy in this chapter isn't a competitor. No, it's a huge, powerful force, the global economy itself. And look, you don't have to take my word for it. The company tells us exactly what happened right in their 2014 report. The global economy was slowing down, and because of that, commodity prices, especially for coal, were tanking. Now, if your entire business is built around the mining industry, this is like seeing a tidal wave forming on the horizon, heading straight for you. And that wave hit fast. The 2014 report starts to show the damage. One of their major clients basically says, yeah, our mine is going to run out of economically viable stuff to dig up by the end of the year. Another client comes to them and says, hey, we need you to produce less, and we need to pay you less for it. So just like that, the very foundation of their business, those big, juicy mining contracts, was starting to crumble. So now we're in 2015, right in the thick of the crisis. Their revenue is getting hammered, the market is a mess, so what do? How does the company respond? This is the part of the story where it stops being about the market and starts being about a management team fighting for survival. And wow, the damage was just brutal. Take a look at this. In only 3 years, PTRO went from making a profit of $52.6 million to losing $12.7 million. That is an absolutely staggering swing. It just shows you how powerful that commodity crash was. When you're in a situation like this, you have to make some moves, and you have to make them fast. And they did. You have to dig for it a little bit, but buried deep in that 2015 report is this brilliant strategic move. The company started doing sale and leaseback deals for their most valuable stuff, all that heavy equipment. This is a classic move for a company that has a ton of valuable assets but is running out of cash. But what exactly does that even mean? Okay, so a sale and leaseback sounds really technical, but it's actually a pretty clever idea. Imagine you own a bunch of giant, expensive trucks. You need cash now. So you sell the trucks to a finance company, and they give you a big pile of cash. But then you immediately sign a deal to rent or lease those exact same trucks back from them. So boom, you get the cash you need to survive, but your business can keep running because you still have the trucks. It was a financial lifeline for sure. So they made it through the storm. Now, let's jump way forward to 2022. Did those survival tactics actually work? Did the company bounce back? Well, the most recent financial reports give us the final act of this crazy decade-long story. The numbers really do speak for themselves here. From that awful $12.7 million loss in 2015, they came roaring back to a $30.1 million profit in 2022. And maybe even more important, look at the total equity. That's basically the company's net worth. It shot up by over $70 million. This wasn't just surviving. This was a full-on incredible recovery. But how? Well, the 2022 report shows us their brand new playbook. It's obvious they learned a hard lesson about being too reliant on just coal. The report is suddenly filled with all these new contracts in totally different areas. Big construction projects for the famous Freeport mine, work at a refinery, a massive $94 million project in bauxite, which is a completely different commodity, plus logistics services. They spread out their risk. They made sure that a slump in one market would never again be able to sink the whole ship. Okay, so we've followed this 10-year saga. We've been through the highs, the lows, the comeback. What's the big takeaway here? What does digging through a decade of financial data really teach us? Well, it gives us a simple framework for reading the story in any financial report. First, you set the baseline. What does the company look like when things are just normal? Step 2, you find the conflict. Look for those notes where they talk about risks or the economy. Third, you analyze the response. Look for clever moves like asset sales or new financing. And finally, you assess the outcome. You compare the before and after to really see how the company changed. In the end, PT Petrosia's incredible decade proves our point. These financial reports aren't just static, boring snapshots. They're the living, breathing, year-by-year chapters in a dynamic story of crisis, survival, and evolution. You just have to know how to look for it. So every number really does tell a story. In this case, the numbers showed us a remarkable corporate turnaround and a strategy that was forged in fire, shifting from dependency to diversification. It just leaves you wondering, as the world keeps changing, what story will the numbers tell next? The answer? Well, it'll be waiting for us right there in the next report.